This is the only assignment that I give you to 11:59 to do. So at 12 o'clock midnight, it will disappear. Okay. When you go inside of the folder, you got your directions. These are possible surveys. It does not mean you have to do the surveys here. These are just suggestions if you don't or are not aware of what you want to do your survey on. Okay, but it's not mandated that you use the surveys in that folder. This is an example of a well-developed paper. This person did receive an A. It's hard to receive an A if you don't follow the proper protocol or if you don't write the correct information. So I really suggest reviewing her paper so that you know what I'm looking for, what's required, and what should be in your paper. Right. I'm sorry, that's that one. This one right here is kind of just like a snapshot of what each category should look like. So it kind of asks questions so that you know if you answered these questions inside of that section, you've covered the correct material, right? And then you want to make sure if you are not using SurveyMonkey and you are using paper format surveys in regards to you're passing out surveys and you want people to complete it, they must complete a consent form. Okay? The consent form should not be attached to the survey because your survey is anonymous. So you need to have the person complete the consent form. Some people actually have them complete, will staple the papers together, but once they complete it, you have to detach them. Okay? When you speak about people in your paper, it should never have a name. All right? And then you're going to put it in the Turnitin box in regards to the critical thinking. Any questions in regards just to the links? Okay. Okay, when you use SurveyMonkey, you log in, you have to create an account. You then type and create your question surveys. It then will give you a link afterwards. You then submit your link to other people to complete the survey. Now, with SurveyMonkey, you're only allowed 10 questions. I do have another website, I'll find out what it is, that allow you to produce more than 10 questions. But SurveyMonkey only gives you 10 questions to do. It depends on what you're doing your research on. It also depends, you have to have 3 different variables. So if your first 3 questions are how old are you male or female, and your other variable, you just wasted 3 questions and you only get 10. So you've got to be careful whatever your survey is, that you're using your questions wisely. Well, you're in class, so I would just say bring them to me. Correct. Yes. Yes. If you're using hand forms, you do need to give them to me. All surveys, all consent forms must be turned in for you to get credit. Your paper is just submitted into the Turnitin, the completed document. In regards to those who do SurveyMonkey, you're going to get a tally page. You must submit the tally page in regards to your consent forms and surveys. So instead of giving me a copy of all that consent forms and surveys, you're going to give me a tally form that shows me that everybody consented and what questions you asked and how many people answered. Are we okay? Everybody's okay now? All right. In regards to the directions to the critical thinking assignment, the first thing you want to know, you're going to pick your topic. Your topic can be anything that relates to psychology. And as you kind of are figuring out as you keep going, there's pretty much nothing that we can't relate to psychology. So if you can figure out how you can relate it back to psychology, you can cover that topic. I'm pretty open to topics. Just make sure that you're not causing harm to anyone, that you're not becoming, how do I say, you're not violating any rules or laws in regards to people participating in your survey. Sure. If you need help, just send me, like, say you've got an idea, like a main idea, you can send it to me and we can kind of filter. Usually what people they have such a broad topic and it's like that's too much information, so we can kind of filter to see what is it that you really want to find out, and we can do that. Okay. It is a scientific method. The first thing, I'll talk about the abstract last because it's the last thing you need to write. The introduction. Your introduction introduces me to the background of your topic. Where did it come from? Who else did research on it? Why did you pick it? What is your hypothesis about the research? This is probably where you're going to place your 2 references that are required in this paper. Usually this is where you want to place them because you're giving me history, you're giving me background of the topic, you're giving me who else looked at it, why are you looking at it, what was looked at it before, is what, if everything was researched, agree with your topic? Does it disagree with your topic? Has it sparked you to look at something different? That literally, that section introduced me to the whole idea of your phenomena of whatever you are deciding to look at. You can always find something. You can always find something. There is no research ever produced that somebody else has not either tried or did in a different type of spin. So when you type it in your Google search, sometimes you can't type in exactly how you're writing it, but your topic is there. So switch around your topic and you can find it. Like you're doing the pets one. There's so much stuff about pets and humans and how pets, because you have so many pets that have become air. So if you literally just Google pet and their owners, you're going to find a slew of stuff. Most people, you might not have a direct relationship, but you do have a correlation to something else. Does everybody understand the introduction? All right. Next, you have your methods. I usually tell people methods is like your recipe. You are going to tell me step by step what you did to collect your information. Does that make sense? Step by step. So if I pick up your paper, I read your method section, I can reproduce exactly what you did step by step. All the way into the collection, into the formulating your paper. Everything you've done from start to finish is in your method section. Any questions on methods? It's very specific. Every detail. Every detail. And if you read the example, it literally says, I think she says, or in January something, passed out. I don't want to know everything you did, when you did it, where you did it, how you did it. Yes, you still have to say submitted it to blah, 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 created it. Yeah, I did. Mine was 137 pages. So your 10 pages don't fascinate. It's like, when people are like, oh my God, 10 pages. It's like, that wasn't even chapter 1. Chapter 2 was 47 pages by itself. So good question. It needs to, the whole thing kind of flows. What you're doing is you're telling me why you did it, where it came from, what it's why I did, then what did you do? So it's kind of like the whole paper kind of starts to just flow together from start to finish. So literally this is almost to where it just shows me as if you did it all in one day. That method section will give me that picture that everything was done in one day. I know it wasn't, but it would give me that idea that it was. When I get it, it better not be bullets. I better get a flow paper written out story. And that's what I pretty much tell you. Methods is a story. It's a recipe of to wake up on June 16th. Go and get your clothes on. I need to know exactly what I need to do to repeat your study. Yes. Whoa. No. APA loves third person. So usually say the researcher. Please try to stay away from I. Okay, we usually always say researcher, participants. That's a good question. Okay. Your results section. Your results section must contain 3 charts, graphs, bar chart, pie chart, scatter plot. I don't really care, but it has to have 3 graphs in it. These 3 graphs contain your 3 variables. In regards to all 3 charts, you could use, yeah, I could see, yeah, but all bar, yeah, yes. You can have all bar charts, all pie charts, yes. It would just show me 3 different variables, but it could be all the same chart, yes. The same type of chart, yes. Okay. In addition, your results section tells me what you found out. It's just not charts. It then gives me a description because there's going to be some things you find out that are not in your graphs. So you're going to find additional information that should be in your results section. I noticed that men, blah, blah, blah. I noticed that 2 out of 9, you need to give me a description of what your results were. Talk about it. Yes. So if you've got men versus women, I'm going to have a chart for men and women. Age is another one. And say you had married women versus single, that would be your third chart. Then the rest of the information is literally what else did these surveys. You've got 25 surveys. It's got to be a lot of information that those 3 charts aren't telling me. So you're going to tell me in that section. Everybody understand the results section? Any questions? Okay. And then we have the discussion session. The discussion section kind of ties everything into your hypothesis. Was your hypothesis proven or was it disproven? If you do not prove your hypothesis, it's okay. You can say, I thought this was going to happen and it didn't. It's okay. It doesn't mean your research went wrong. It just literally means what you thought was going to happen wasn't. You talk about that in your discussion. You talk about if you were doing this over again, what would you change? What would you do different? Who can use this if they read it? Who can read this and understand it? You're discussing what you found out in regards. Results is just fact, what was factually given to you. Discussion, now interpreted what all of this meant. What did this whole research mean to you? Yes? No? All right. References, you need to have at least two. They need to be in proper APA format. You got a taste of this in week 1, which is why you had to do your week 1's assignment. Okay, proper APA format should be written for the entire paper. All of this paper should all have subheadings. So literally each area has its own subhead. Okay, now let's go back for a minute to the abstract. The abstract is a brief overview of your entire paper. It's about 1 paragraph long, a half page at most. Okay, it literally just gives me a snapshot. If I read this, I know what this paper's about. Okay, it's not a conclusion. It's not, it just literally gives me a snapshot. When I read it, I'm like, oh, either I want to read this paper or I don't want to read the paper. You want to grab me in the abstract. Does everybody understand? It's about 8 to 10 pages when you complete the paper. That's fine. I would hope it's not more than 10, but the thought of reading 180 is not exciting me. But yeah, if you have to do it, I'd rather you have all your information than not enough. If you finish your paper in 3 pages, know that it's not a good paper. You're missing something. Okay. Probably the hardest part is going to be getting 25 people to complete your survey. So this is why I tell people, please don't wait till the last minute, because that will be the challenge. Getting 25 people to say okay. If you have a certain topic, pick your topic according to people you can find to participate. Yesterday, one of my students said that she wanted to do her topic on people who've been diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Well, the problem is she's got to find 25 people who are going to willingly admit they've been diagnosed with anxiety. Not that they feel it, but that they've properly been diagnosed with it. Okay? Be careful. I had one student who wanted to do recovering drug addicts that return to school. Now she has to go through the entire school to find people who want to admit that they were drug addicts and that they returned. So be careful with your topic. Okay? Any questions? Yes, please don't give me full of page graphs. Let's see if we can open up the example. Okay. If you go down, and you'll see how this is her abstract, you'll see how her paper just continues to flow through. There's no extra spaces. I don't need everything on one page. This is her first graph, her second, her third. This is her write-up of what else she found. She gave a 4th graph. That's her discussion, her reference page. And say she had 11 pages, so. You understand? Yeah. When you look at the example, it might help. It looks like a flow, so when I read it, it's like a story of whatever we did. And if you look in her results section, she's kind of telling me a breakdown of what she found that's not represented in her graphs. She used some very statistical information. That's her 11th page. Your title page, your abstract page, all of that counts in your 11th. So it's like 7 pages of writing, 3 pages of other stuff. Okay? And Yeah, it's doable. It's doable. And you see she got subheadings so that I can go exactly know, I'll know where everything is. It's doable. Okay? It's doable if it's done using the time. You got to December 1st. I wouldn't wait to Thanksgiving week to be like, oh, let me do that paper. That wouldn't be the time. Okay. If you have it, it's easy for you to come in and say, does this look right? Am I on the right track? Would you suggest me doing something different? It's okay to ask that. Literally, the first part I usually tell people, ask questions and then keep going as you ask questions.